Good evening. This is QTV Nightly News coming to you from our studios on Keraba Avenue, and I am Ashma Uba. Thanks for joining us. Here are the main news headlines. Before departing on his Meet the People tour on Monday, President Adama Barrow launched the National Gender Policy and inaugurated the National Women's Council. The Judiciary of the Gambia, in collaboration with the UNDP, concluded a two-day consultation forum focused on the implementation of its strategic plan for 2021 to 2025. Antonia Sanyang, a counselor at the Gambian Embassy in China, has encouraged Gambian students in China to take part in the My Chinese Story photo and video competition next year. Following the release of the 6th edition of the Gambia's Historical Dictionary by renowned historian David Perfect, we speak with Hausum Cisse, historian and Director General of the National Center for Arts and Culture, to explore its significance. Those and other stories coming up. Do stay tuned. Thank you for staying with us. On Monday, President Adama Barrow officially launched the National Center Policy for 2025 to 2034 and inaugurated the National Women's Council for 2025 to 2030, both initiatives designed to promote the rights of women, girls and marginalized groups. The event took place at the Sir Dawda Kairaba Conference Center. Mamna Buka was there, and this is her report.
The Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Welfare works to protect the right of women, children and marginalized groups by implementing appropriate strategies, policies and ensuring the allocation of adequate resources. President Adama Barrow delivered a key message during the official launch of the gender policy and integration of the National Women's Council.
The policy contains the government's vision and it clearly defines intent to provide women with the relevant rights and opportunities to prosper as equal partners and citizens before the law. I am confident that the effective implementation of the policy will contribute immensely to inclusive social and economic development. That is, development that cuts across all divides and allows women to play important and empowering roles without barriers.
Fatou Kinte, the Minister of Gender, Children and Social Welfare, emphasized the importance of this policy in addressing the ongoing disparities.
This policy framework reflects the government's vision of a powerful and peaceful, prosperous Gambia in which men, women, boys and girls have equal rights and opportunities to develop and thrive. While it aims to eliminate gender disparities in education, reduce maternal mortality, improve reproductive health services, and promote gender-sensitive health care.
The purpose of the 2025-2034 gender policy will guide all relevant stakeholders in effectively mainstreaming gender considerations into policy formulation. A key component of this initiative is the establishment of the 17th National Women's Council, which will serve as a platform for amplifying women's voices and addressing their concerns. Here is Aissatou Sawane, the outgoing chairperson of the council.
The greatness of a nation is not only measured by its size and population, but by the investments that you put in its people and citizens. Your Excellency, as your agenda is to continue to develop this nation and its citizens, we, the former Lady Council, will work hand in hand with the incoming ones for the achievement of our developmental goals.
Carl Frederick Paul, the UN Resident Coordinator, and Ndeye Anta Tall, the representative of the African Development Bank, both reaffirmed their commitment to providing ongoing support for the successful implementation of this policy.
I am also pleased to say that the United Nations will continue, in collaboration with all development partners, to mobilize resources and technical support for the implementation of the policy and reach of its indicators.
The African Development Bank remains committed to standing alongside the Gambia to ensure the successful implementation of this important gender policy.
These two significant milestones are driven by a vision to ensure that all women, men, boys and girls can reach their full potential as active economic, social and political participants, free from gender discrimination and gender-based violence. Mamna Buka, reporting for QTV News.
The Judiciary of the Gambia, in partnership with the United Nations Development Programme, wrapped up a two-day consultation forum on the implementation of its Strategic Plan 2021 to 2025. Lolem Kamara reports on the proceedings.
The Judiciary of the Gambia developed its strategic plan for 2021-2025 to drive reforms aimed at strengthening judicial independence, improving efficiency, modernizing infrastructure, and building public trust. This report provides a review of the plan's implementation, highlighting progress made, challenges encountered, and offering recommendations for accelerating results. Participants were trained on resource-based monitoring and evaluation to improve the tracking and assessment of the judiciary's activities under the plan. In his closing remarks, Chief Justice Hassan B. Jallow acknowledged the successes achieved thus far but emphasized that much work remains to be done.
We all know, pleasantly I must say, that much has been done already with regard to implementing the strategic plan. There's a lot that is ongoing as well, and there is also a lot which remains to be done. That's a fair assessment of where we stand today. And I must say, amongst the things which have been accomplished in order to provide some clarification is the fact that we already have a transport policy for the judiciary. We also have a draft Judicial Service Commission regulations in place, which were prepared with the support of the UNDP again by an outside consultant. Going forward now, I think there are 2 or 3 things we need to be mindful of. One is that after this meeting, internally within the judiciary and in consultation and in collaboration with our partners, the UNDP, we will be looking at and putting in place the necessary measures to make sure that we can implement these activities which the groups have identified.
UNDP played a crucial role in supporting the judiciary throughout this process. Mandisa Mashologu, UNDP Residence Coordinator in the Gambia, expressed her delight in the partnership with the judiciary.
We'll be working together on the financing of the key areas that have been identified in terms of moving forward. And really just to say we truly appreciate this collaboration, this partnership, and hope we will continue to do so as we move forward, not only in implementation of the URIWA, but also working towards the SDGs for all.
Key outcomes of the process include legislative reforms aimed at enhancing the judiciary's financial and administrative autonomy, clearer communication of its independent role in governance, improvements of internal structures for greater efficiency, and the decentralization of management to streamline operations. Legal practitioners from various departments of the judiciary contributed to the drafting of a more detailed action plan for 2025, ensuring it aligns with the strategic objectives and capacity-building goals of the judiciary. For QTV News, Lolly M. Kamara.
Antonia Sanyang, a counselor at the Gambian Embassy in Beijing, China, has urged Gambian students in China to participate in the My Chinese Story photo and video competition next year. She made these remarks during the award ceremony of the competition held in Beijing. Jennifer Sonko reports.
Content creators from China and Africa compete through photos, paintings, and short videos to showcase the friendship between China and Africa, focusing on stories in sports, culture, economy, and trade between China and Africa. The ceremony was attended by nearly 200 people, including diplomatic envoys from nearly 30 countries to China. Since its inauguration in February this year, the competition has been joined by a wide array of people who witnessed, joined, recorded, and promoted the comprehensive and high-quality development of China-Africa relations at various levels. The competition accepts entries in Chinese, English, and French only. The My Chinese Story photo and video competition received over 2,600 entries from more than 800 video creators in 58 countries, and 100 entries were awarded at the ceremony. No Gambian participated in this year's competition, despite the strong bilateral relationship between China and Gambia, and many stories waiting to be shared. At the award ceremony, the Gambian ambassador to China was represented by Antonia Sanyang, Chancellor at the Gambian Embassy in Beijing. She encourages Gambian students to take part in next year's competition.
Because we have a strong bilateral relationship with China, and this is going to also serve as another platform for us to showcase what we have back home and what the Chinese are doing back home. Of course, there are a lot of things that they are doing back home too. So all this can be shared through storytelling. But I'm encouraging all the Gambian students who are here in China to also participate next time. We have lots of bright Gambian students here, and some of them are fluent in Mandarin and the Chinese languages.
Kenyan Noah Nawamba, an awardee of the Chinese Story Photo and Video Competition, shared a story focused on his life in Shanghai. He highlighted how beautiful Shanghai is, as well as serving as an ideal hub for economic activities and growth, benefiting both businesses and individuals alike.
Amazing. You know, coming here just to see how important the relationship between China and Africa is really vital. It's really close to my heart. You know, China and Africa are not just partners, they're not just friends, they are, I will say, the future. You know, a lot of things have changed, and I believe like right now we are looking at how the world will, you know, move forward in a way that people with similarities in terms of, you know, their cultures, in terms of their approach to life.
The competition is sponsored by the Secretariat of the Chinese Follow-up Committee of the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation and the China Public Diplomacy Association, and organized by Global Times Online. The competition is one of the many initiatives aimed at sharing the mutually beneficial ties between the two regions. Each award category includes the first, second, and third prizes, as well as outstanding awards. Winners receive cash prizes ranging from $100 to $500, an electronic certificate, as well as a chance to be invited to China. Each work can only win one award. Reporting for QTV News from Beijing, China, I am Jenna Basonko.
From that story, we'll now take our commercial break. We'll now go for a commercial break, but when we return, we have more local and international news stories for you.
fii mooy fan fii mooy Inessa di place bi nga xam ne moom la ñëpp taam place bii bépp xeetu ataaya bu baax rek bu dugg see ci dëkk bi xamal ne fii rek la am bara wërga bii neex na lool saf na ba pare tamit nag am gu bu neex boo ko naanee rek da ngay kontaan ci saas añ ba suur ba gëreesal li nga lekk jëndal baara ataaya bii ndax moom la ñëpp taam gis nga sama client bii ataaya bu neex bu ne moom laa koy njëkk a jox ndax moom kat ataaya bu neex rek lay wër baara wërga bii mooy warga bi gën te moo gën a saf kon nag ràññee leen ko bu baax kon daw leen gaaw ca Banjul foofu ca Inessa di place bi nga xam ni foofu rek nga ko mën a amee wholesale wala retail mu ngi foofu ci boori court house bi foofu ca Banjul wala nga daw ci bépp marché bépp supermarket bépp boutique fépp foo dugg rek di nga mën a am baara warga bii nga xam ne moom la ñëpp di wër tey baara warga moo dàq ci warga yi man maa ngi ci moom ndax su ma mënee ataaya moom rek lay naan.
Welcome back. If you're just tuning in, you're watching QTV News. Following the release of renowned historian David Perfect's 6th edition of the Gambian Historical Dictionary, we sit down with Hasum Cisse, historian and Director General of the National Center for Arts and Culture, to discuss its significance. Here is Ansumana Isonyasi.
The 6th edition of the Gambia's Historical Dictionary serves as a comprehensive compilation of key events and iconic figures in the nation's history. It includes a detailed chronology and an extensive bibliography covering the period before independence. In his first public review of David Perfect's latest edition, Hasum Cisse, historian and Director General of the National Center for Arts and Culture, describes it as perhaps the most compelling literary work on Gambian history to date.
If you want to access material on the careers of personalities in Gambian history, the book has it. If you are interested in events, let's say 1981 attempted coup, there is a big entry on that. If you are interested in places, for example, Gunjur, there's an entry on Gunjur. Okay? If you are interested, for example, in the word junglers, there's an entry on junglers.
Remarkably, this latest edition of the glossary also includes key political events in the Gambia's history, spanning from colonial-era political appointments and elections to the 2021 presidential election. According to Mr. Cisse, for students and anyone with an interest in Gambian history, particularly its political history, this dictionary stands as the most credible reference available.
The book also has a compendium of dates, significant dates in Gambian history. And really, from 1,000 years ago up to August 2024. Okay? For example, 24th July 2024, Gambia established diplomatic ties with Iran. Okay? Okay? If, for example, 8th November 1954, the Gambia's first ministers were appointed. So maybe that should be of interest to you, 70 years ago. So we have all these very, very important dates, And, thirdly, we also have in the book the results of all the elections held in this country from 1947 up to 2021, be it parliamentary and presidential.
Meanwhile, Mr. Cisse encourages Gambians to take an active role in preserving the country's history by showing greater interest and engaging in research. He also urges history students to read the book, emphasizing that it offers a comprehensive guide to understanding Gambian history.
One way of really reinforcing the trust and the confidence in our country, particularly among the young people, is to know their history. That's very, very important. They have to have heroes, okay, like some of the people who are mentioned in this book.
The author, David Perfect, is a seasoned research fellow and a historian who has been studying Gambian politics and history since 1986. While this isn't his first book on the Gambia, having previously co-authored 2 others, his latest work is garnering widespread acclaim, particularly among the country's native historians, including Hasum Cisse, who is among its new admirers. Answane Sonyasi for QTV News.
As the country gears up for the second phase of the nationwide polio vaccination campaign in December, public health officials in the Lower River region have successfully completed the recent polio vaccine drive, which focused on children under 5 years. Bakari Balde tells us more.
Commonly known as polio, typically spreads through contact with infected feces, often due to poor hand-washing practices. The virus can also be contracted by consuming contaminated food or water. Mbarisi, the Regional Operations Officer for the expanded program on immunization in the Lower River region, assured the public that the vaccine is safe. He further emphasized the importance of the ongoing campaign.
So polio is a highly effective vaccine and it is given to prevent against polio. Polio vaccine is already in our routine system. But now we want to vaccinate all our under 5 at once so that we can cut the chain of transmission of the polio virus.
Lamin Yabo, the public health desk officer at the Soma District Hospital, said that there had been extensive community sensitization to raise awareness of the polio vaccination campaign. He also highlighted some of the challenges they encounter during the process.
We went to a particular school whereby we did not meet the head teacher in the school. So you spoke to the assistant, but the assistant did not inform the head teacher in time. So when we went there the following day, he told us that no, he was just informed that very morning. So as a result of that, he could not allow us to vaccinate kids in his school. Usually when we have vaccine hesitants or people that refuse, teams will call us and we'll go there and discuss with the parents. Of course, some parents, upon discussion, they will change their minds and allow us to vaccinate the kids. But others are there who are just adamant that they don't want us to vaccinate their kids.
During a visit to Jara Karantaba village, we spoke with Mustafa Sen, a social mobilizer for the vaccination campaign.
All the communities that I have sensitized, I think I only received one refusal. And we went there again to see if the individual, unfortunately, for us, we can't convince him. These are some of the challenges that we do encounter, but if not, well, I know Gambian people are aware.
Kumba Kasama, a parent, urged her fellow parents to have their children vaccinated to protect them from contracting polio. Bakari Balde, QTV News.
From local, let's now take a look at news beyond our borders. The ruling Positive Party of President Bassirou Diomaye Faye of Senegal has claimed victory in Sunday's parliamentary elections. The most of the votes already counted. Alusise report.
This victory now gives President Bassirou Diomaye Faye a strong mandate to implement his social and economic reform agenda, on which he was elected in March. According to observers, the vote was conducted peacefully across the country, although there were periodic clashes between supporters of different parties in the run-up to the elections. PASTEF needed 83 seats for a majority in the 165 National Assembly, something they have exceeded according to the results announced so far. The country's main opposition leaders, including former President Macky Sall, leader of the Takuwale coalition, have conceded defeat and congratulated President Bassirou Diomaye Faye on his party's victory. Faye, 44, who became Africa's youngest elected leader in March, has said the lack of a majority in parliament had prevented him from executing reforms he pledged during his presidential campaign, including fighting corruption. He dissolved the parliament and called for snap parliamentary elections. Reporting for QTV News, I am Aliou Cisse.
Well, I'm afraid that's all we have for you, but before we go, a recap of our main news headlines. Before departing on his Meet the People tour on Monday, President Adama Barrow launched the National Gender Policy and inaugurated the National Women's Council. The Judiciary of the Gambia, in collaboration with the UNDP, concluded a two-day consultation forum focused on the implementation of its strategic plan for 2021 to 2025. Antonia Sanyang, a counselor at the Gambian Embassy in China, has encouraged Gambian students in China to take part in My Chinese Story photo and video competition next year. Following the release of the 6th edition of the Gambia's Historical Dictionary by renowned historian David Perfect, we spoke with Hasum Cisse, historian and Director General of the National Center for Arts and Culture, to explore its significance. Well, I'm afraid that's all we have for you in this news bulletin. Do join us again at 10 p.m. for more news. Thanks for watching.